A little bit further down with this vinyl dash cover. Got it all done now, got it fitted. Like I said in the previous one, it's taken me 2 attempts. Sorry, earlier on, taken me 2 attempts to make it work, but I think it's come out quite well. And I'm not an upholsterer, so I'll give it my best shot. Struggling with this arm, I've still got stitches in, but you know, all in all, we've kind of sort of made it look something like. And I'm actually thinking it's looking a bit better than the early factory ones by using this extra little piece of 3mm closed cell foam. Give it a lot more body if you know, if that explains anything. It's softer, it's a bit, I don't know, a bit like it's been made better, if that's the best way of saying it. And I'm just going to show you how we've gone on the camera now. There's a couple of things yet I'm 2 minds to do, but I'll sort of show you where it is and bits of problems, and I'm going to just run through fundamentally how I did it very quickly, because it's if you're not an upholsterer and I'm not an upholsterer, it's not as easy to you know, tell somebody how to do it. But what I can do is tell you the pitfalls, you know, where I kind of went you know, a little bit astray with me thinking, and I think, you know, them are the things you need to know. So whip the camera off. Here we are with the, that's it here. Now I'm pointing out, see, because when you build it now, we can see all this. There's this material here, as you can see, all loose underneath. It's all there, you know, I'm squashing about my fingers. You have to leave that on, because the dashboard covers that, and if you cut it all off too tight, it actually shows. I'm trying to kind of get it, it's not too bad, not enough light in here really. It kind of shows the, my fingers there, the transition from where the dash starts here, runs around and comes down. Well, if you cut that off on there, it kind of will possibly show the metal dash, the metal parts behind it, if you know what I mean. So when you do it, you cut it long and you leave it long, and obviously when it's all on and you're happy with everything there, you trim it back to, you know, to where's best. And you know, that's, I'm showing you that before I start, like, you know. I see I done it all over there. See if I can bring it in. I don't think it's going to really help much. You know, that's the, these are the bits here that I've laid long. You can see I'm just flicking it around, and you know, that's the reason it is long, so you can make sure you can cover all your dash with it, like, you know, and not have anything showing. So don't worry about leaving it a bit longer. This is kind of come out a bit where we've got to there. Now I'll just give that a very small polish. The other side I've left it a little bit dirty, wants polishing. I've managed to keep that moulding in there where the ashtray is. I'm pointing that out because that's kind of relevant how I glued it on. It was quite fiddly at the time. Don't forget, when you're putting it back, it does sit tight into here, and it takes a bit of time to push it in. You know, you think you're not quite there, etc., and you've really got to work it and feed it in and make, you know, until you get your, you know, all the studs in the dash panel itself. Trying to come about a bit. Am I showing anything? The ashtray here I've not done anything with yet. I'm not sure what to do. I won't ever use it as an ashtray, don't smoke. And these grills here, I've painted them. Not 100% convinced it's the finish I want, but you know, they'll do for the time being. I may go to powder coat on them, because I think it gives a slightly better finish, and you can relatively easily remove them and do it again, like. So that's just showing you where we're up to, how I've got it in. Like I say, it was a fiddle, and you know, don't forget, cut long there, because you will regret it if you don't. So we'll go back on the camera now, and I'll give you a brief explanation on how I went about doing it. Right, so I'm not going to put my mug into this video. I'm going to sort of see, you know, go about how I've done it. Now this is the foam I used, 3mm thick. I got it on the internet, easy enough, dirt cheap. It comes pre-glued at the back, and it's a good strong adhesive. It you know, it didn't let go, and fundamentally Let me move this for a second. That's the material. And all I went to do on it when I was to gluing this on, I haven't got a bigger piece than this really because I've used most of it, as you can probably understand. I had a big long strip, you know, with plenty, you know, to go past the end of the panel itself. You know, a good 6 inches either side. I had it, no problem. And then all I did was, in the middle of it, I peeled back the centre of this foam, because what I didn't want to do is all this lot flopping down on here and sticking. So I left the cover on the outside edges. So if you can imagine, I've pulled a strip out there, you know, as wide as this little moulding in the top of the dashboard there. I thought, that'll do for me. I then make sure, well, one little trick I actually did use, on the other side of this, I turned it all over. When I got my position right, I turned it all over and marked it on the inside of there. See where the ashtray hole is there? I drew with a felt with a marker pen in there, in that square. Once I was happy with, you know, how I'd set it all on there, turn it over, little pen round the marking, and I'll show you why I did that. It's because when I put it back again, I knew exactly where the centre was. So I wasn't over here, and I was going to be short on each end. I knew exactly where it was. So I looked where it was, come down, and the first thing I did was, rather than try and push it onto the outer edges, where this moulding is here, I pushed it into the mouldings first. You know, I pushed it all the way around like that. You know what I mean? And working it in with my thumb into the corners there. It doesn't matter if you know, you can dig your nails in a little bit. That's a trick. Well, cut your nails before you do this because it does rip into it. And that made sure it kept that moulding nice without it trying to pull away. It was pushed in there first. Then when we'd done it, just rolled it out like that smoothly with my hands, both sides, and obviously out to each end. I will at that point, I will mention that I got it stuck in the middle here, so it was fine. It was a bit fiddly to get this paper off. It doesn't come off very clean, but you have to persevere and it does come out. So once it got there, I took one side off so the other side wouldn't just stick down and be a bleeding nuisance. Another point is, as I stripped it back, I just got the wife to set it for me with a pair of hands, and then fundamentally all I did then was run across with my hand, all across the top there, so I made sure it was all nice and flat there, and you know, and it stuck very nicely. Peeled the other side off, pushed all that out to the other side, and then kind of just rolled it around the edges, you know, around the edges. And then on the underside, when I got around the underside, I rolled it around the front of there to where that previous part of the dashboard is. I didn't go past there because because I didn't want to, for one, and two, there's no need for it to go past there, you know what I mean? You've got the nice smooth finish on there, and when I rolled it over there, I only just rolled it over there, you know, about, I don't know, 15mm, something like that, you know, it's over ½ an inch, 15mm, something like that, and that then fundamentally left me with the with all this nicely done. It gives this beautiful smooth finish. And then I started to lay it on here. I trimmed this all up so it was all nice and neat. Cut the hole, cut it out here, and pushed it through there each side, and glued it around the back. So it was all nice, and I was pretty pleased with the results. These ends are fiddly, without a doubt. Trying to push it into the ends is a bit. I did put some of the foam I had, some actually more, another thick foam, like high density foam, which I've already got, and where the foam moulding here was damaged, I just filled it in before I put my little 3mm on, and then when I wrapped around it, it covered it nicely, you know, yet it didn't have this like this one. You'd have to do it here because it's come away, hasn't it? It's rotted, it's gone hard and flaked away, so you're going to have to, you know, redo it a little bit. And all I did was I used 5mm high density foam in there and just simply glued it in, because it's glued up against there, and then it's going to be covered with the little 3mm foam as it wrapped around. Did that on both sides, hey presto, I was happy with the results. So that left me then to put the material on. Same thing again. Got my material. Now this is what I've got left, and this is this is approximately 400 millimeters wide, 15 inches. I'd go for more than that personally. This cost me about 10 quid, 10 pounds, 10 UK pounds, and I think we haven't got to worry about being a miser with that. We can always cut any excess off, but what you don't want to do is end up slightly short. So again, what we did on this side, we've now completely covered with all the foam. We've got a nice surface finish. Place this on top, plenty left over either side. Set it all exactly where I wanted it, turned it over, drew out in the cigarette again. Want me to refilm this because card went filled up on me, so we're going to have to carry on again. So I'm going to try and match up where I was, double again. So here we go. Remember, we've done all the first ones. I've now got back to the stage where we've set all this up, like I said, exactly where we need it. We folded it over, got plenty there, folded it over, got some here. Like I said, you go wider than 15 inches because you can always cut it off and it's not bloody expensive stuff. So I've placed it all in there and made sure I've got plenty of room at the ends, and which I have. Set it up nicely, that's all gone in there. Then I do again, draw around here in the cigarette ashtray hole. That's the reference place, ideal. It's got straight lines on it and you can bob it straight back. And then I didn't go mad and glue it all, basically the same principle. I've used spray adhesive. Now spray adhesive is far better for this sort of thing. It lays on smoother, and the gluey type stuff that you can paint on, it goes too thick and leaves streaks, and them streaks don't always lay down. It's really hard to smooth them out. Don't bother with it. Use the spray adhesive. This is the UK version, and just again. But what I did to make this time, I did it pretty much the same as what I did the backing. I only wanted to glue this centerpiece here, where the moulding is, because it's important to keep this moulding. So what I did then, sprayed the area, all this bit here, all around, the ashtray there with my spray. Sprayed, I've already got my mark here where my ashtray is, so I spray the side of there as well, just nicely. Don't do the whole thing, all nicely across there. Obviously I've turned my over. I find my marks where I've marked it out for the ashtray, and at this point I've come up from this underside again and done exactly the same thing. I've pressed it into this moulding, so the material sort of fits nicely. You can see, when you're pushing it in there, and I've done it from behind, and I've pushed it into there, so it actually sticks onto the face of that moulding and forms it. So it needs a nice, a nice line for it to copy. When I've got it nicely in there, all in the side there, all I did is flip it over and work out each side till I've got it all nicely glued down there properly. And that went really without a hitch. Just make sure you keep pushing it into that moulding there, and it stuck quite nicely, and just moulded it around that little bit. And at that point, I can still do this, can't I, with all material, because I've got no adhesive on here on that side. Now I give it a few minutes then just to let it grab it properly, and then I tended to I held my hand here through that back. I did spray adhesive nice and gently up and down just on these front sides here, and because you've got to do it on both surfaces, I sprayed it up the centre of this one. Note I didn't touch either end, I just sprayed it up the centre. Then you give it a few minutes, don't you, just to tack off until you're ready. And then literally just lifted it up in there and pushed it down. You will find it handy. This is a lot easier with two people. You find it handy if somebody's holding an end like that, because you can hold it pretty firm. and just slowly bringing it down and pushing it across gently with your hand. I kept a rag in my hand, nice and flat, and pushed it all the way down to the edge, and just folded it all in around that top like that, you know. Again, same thing, opposite side, folded it back, adhesive spray across here, across the centre of here, the same, let it tack off. You can't put two mosses on this because this is material and it does soak it up a little bit, the other side doesn't. You can't actually do it twice. It says it's okay to do it twice on the can, but you've got to let it tack off a little bit. As soon as I've done that, again, up in the air, push my hand gently back with my rag in my hand. I haven't got a rag in my hand to do it, but you know, you get the meaning. Cloth in my hand, and slowly, keeping it taut with this side here, at the same time as working it all nice and down, right to the edge, pushing it down the back side as well, all across, make sure it's got it round the back. Happy days again. I thought, yeah, it's going alright. Left it again to go off a little bit, and turn the whole thing back over. You know, by this time it's all nicely glued on for you, isn't it, like, you know. And then, again, I'm now adhesive all across the front this time, because it's all held nicely for you and tight, isn't it? And slowly work my way in, like that, folding it over, all the way down, working it in with your hands as you go, you know, and the rag as I've put on down there. Fold it over there, push that in, again, all glues down. I over glued it so it went past where I needed to, and I trimmed it back, which I found easier, sharp Stanley knife. To cut back trim, it was easier to do that than it was to actually faff about with it, like, because as you can see the old material only just lips over, and you can see where it's left, you know, you can see where it's left bigger on that side. I've left it bigger on the car. It's always better, isn't it, to leave it longer. Don't cut it short thinking, oh, I'll get precise. Leave it, get it set on the car, get your dashboard all set to it, make sure it's nicely covered, and just trim it off. You know, you don't need to try and get this is about, I don't know, 10-12 mil, half an inch hangover, you know, past there, floating. Mine's 1.5 inches. I'm happy with that because I can trim that down to there at any point. It's not important. So picture this, we've got all across there now, we've come all across here, and this presents you with, then you've got to get these ends in around the mouldings, the edges. Now this is actually the difficult bit. Well, I found it the difficult bit anyway. It might not be for you, you might find it all. But as you come around these corners here, because it's on this radius here, I cut it closer to where I need it to be, and then obviously you've got to put cuts in it, haven't you? Like you can see on the previous moulding, they cut it because you've got to fold it around, haven't you? And it goes round the curve at the same time, so it's got to form its shape. So you're just cutting it down. Obviously you're not going to cut it to, you know, past where that line is, else it'll show, but cut it down and then bring it in. And the good thing about this bit is by this time I've got it all nicely clamped and tight, and I can fold it. But what it does do is when you bring it around this corner, you end up with an awful big bunch of it like that, you know what I mean? And it's difficult to get rid of. Now there's no easy way I found of doing it. Again, I'm sure anybody out there who is an upholsterer will tell you exactly how to do it, but I'm not. But how I went about it, I kept it bringing it round and kept it that way, and I was folding it in like this, and then you're trying to get rid of all the wrinkles that's in it. But just remember, it's actually found out when I actually realised when I put it back, where you need to be neat on this is, let's just say that's the end there. It's a bit big really for trying to do this, and you're folding it back like so. Right, it only shows, because that when it's back in the car only shows this front edge. So what I decided to do whilst I was doing it was make sure the front came round nicely, and this front edge here came round nicely, these parts of it here, and you'll see, you know, when you're doing it. And then, you know, you do have to cut it, etc., and bend it around. But when it's all done and it's all out of the way, and it's back on the car, right, you can get rid of all this by pulling it around, obviously. But when it's back in the car, that's where the body comes to. I don't know if you can kind of see that, you know. So all this bit here is what's shown. It's that front edge here, you know. So what you need to make sure is it's tight up to there. The end itself doesn't really matter quite so much. You can lose a wrinkle in there because that's tight up against the screen surround. You know what I mean? It's pushed into there once it's fitted. So what you've got to do is make sure that that's the front of the dashboard there, right? All that lot there, that bit there is nice and neat because that's the only bit you can see. You know, difficult here to try and show it on the camera best I can. I'm sure you can get the point. You know, it's all glued up there nicely. And that there, front edge there, looks just like nice and neat like that, you know, because that's the bit that shows. The rest of it is trapped out of sight. It's gone. This is good material. It is stretchy. You know, it's got a little bit of give in it. Not a massive amount, but it's got, you know, enough to work around. And when you kind of look at this. You know, this is the old bit you start off with, the factory bit. It's rock solid here, you know. Now when I put that moulding around there, that little 3mm, that's quite, it makes it a bit more chunky and slightly softer. And I'll be honest with you, I'll argue that that looks better. This is quite sharp here, and I don't particularly think it's that great, you know. So I've just made it a little bit thicker, a bit more, you know. I think it's come out quite well. But you know, that's how it is, you know, and fundamentally we've got it all done. It was all glued off. I'll let it go off. And before I started to fit it, I turned it upside down. Obviously, you know, you've got to cut your hole in again, haven't you, obviously, for material for these trays. So I'm trying to work it out for the ashtray hole. You've got to mould it into there, glue it, job done. I mean, you could have used super glue in there because the ashtray holds it all in, with the ashtray is like a small retaining bracket what holds the ashtray in, and that clips behind all these things, and that itself holds this bit in anyway, so you've not got to be too worried about, you know, how you get that glued down. But I cut that down the centre of there at this point, laid it down and just fundamentally with a Stanley knife just cut down the centre of that hole, and the same on the other side. Didn't bother gluing it, it was already pushed into there nice and tight. And then I turned it back over, and the air vents that go across here, as you know, there's like we just shown, there's a steel moulding, if you like, bracket that goes over there to neaten it off. And I found once I'd got that on and I tightened it all down, I refitted all the dash, it was easier to get the Stanley knife, a sharp knife, a brand new one, or scalpel type knife, and then using the metal as a guide to just slice it down there each side, you know, and then pull out the, you know, the waste. Obviously you've got to fit it first, you know. Once it's all in place, you've put your brackets, sorry, I'm going to make this more sense, you've put your steel frames whilst on the bench, because you need these holes, because you need to push that through, and your air vent, you know, your blowing tubes, if you like, and all your steel work and your pipe work, which brings the air up to, you know, the screen air up here, all bolted on. You know, it's all bolted down in place, and then I just cut down using using brackets as a guide to make it neat. It's not the neatest setup in the world. It's a 1970s setup. They could have made it better. I may work on that at some point. But it just leaves you with two large holes here, which is what it is. You know, you can see how the whole day. I'd probably do, you know, I may do something with these, you know, these little air vents on top. How you can see straight through them, I'm not sure I really like it so much. I may put some fine mesh. All you've got to do is undo the nuts, you know, for them things, push them out, maybe cut some nice stainless steel mesh, you know, something like that, just to give it a look more than anything else. That might not work, you know, that's just, you know, maybe what I might do with it. You know, it will restrict the airflow slightly, but I wouldn't worry too much about that. But other than that, I think it's a very doable job, and these things to replace in the UK from Rimmers, I think they're 100 and something pounds with the VAT, and then you've got delivery, etc. If I remember, it's something like 120 quid with the VAT plus delivery. What's to the UK? So I don't know what anybody has to pay when the postage just goes to the States or mainland Europe or Australia or wherever. I don't know what they charge, but the material costs for this were £20, and I had to buy material twice, remember, because I cocked up the first one. It only cost me 20 quid and a bit of time to do that, and I think my idea's come out quite well. Shouldn't say it really, I'm trying to be big-headed. I just think with that nice little, it's a bit more meat in it, it's a bit more padded. I mean, from an impact point of view, and the European car safety people, they don't want any hard edges, anything like that. Well, I've gone a little bit their way, so they're going to be happy with me, the Eurocrats, because it's a bit softer, it's hard, to touch. I think it's come out pretty well, and I think anybody can do that. I think if I can do it, you can do it, because I'm not an upholsterer in any way, but I just thought I'd give that a go, because the material didn't cost me that much to do, so I think it's well worth having a go at. And I think making it thicker is quite a positive result. I think it works out really well. So that's that bit. Anyway, that'll do for this one. Thanks for watching. I hope it's been of some use. And if anybody wants to comment about it, just say what you think, and we'll move on to the next stage of this GT6 restoration, which is coming together. Looking forward to hopefully this summer it will be completed. Maybe the end of summer, so I might be not out in it much, but that's where we're going with it. So again, thanks for watching. I'll see you on the next video, and I'm struggling with my arm a little bit, but I'm soldering on to make it better, and I've got to go and put the tea on now, because I've got the domestic duties with being off sick, Well, there it is. Thanks again. Ta-da.